Gentlemen, let me begin with a truth that most doctors never dare to say out loud. The reason your erections have weakened with age is not your testosterone, not the pills your buddies joke about, and not even the simple passage of years. No, the real answer hides in a tiny muscle most men over 60 have never once trained. This muscle decides in silence whether your erection rises full and strong or collapses too soon. And here is the shocker. 99% of men never train it, yet it can be awakened and rebuilt in just 3 minutes a day. My name is Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For more than 3 decades, I've sat across from men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. They come to me frustrated, embarrassed, convinced that their best days are gone forever. I've watched the way their shoulders sag when they whisper their struggles. And I've seen those same men walk out of my office transformed, heads lifted, spirits renewed when they discover the science I'm about to share with you today. Here's the paradox that should make you pause. You train your arms, your chest, your legs, your lungs, even your heart. But the one muscle that controls your very manhood, you've never once been told to train it, yet you use it every single day. You use it when you urinate, when you stand from a chair, when you cough, even when you laugh. But because no one ever teaches men to strengthen it on purpose, it fades into weakness over time. And when it weakens, so does your confidence, your stamina, and the fire you thought belonged only to younger years. Today, I'm going to change that. I'll guide you step by step through a proven 3-minute routine that directly targets this forgotten muscle. It's simple, it's discreet, and it was designed for men your age. Once you learn it, you'll never look at your body or your confidence the same way again. But before we dive in, I want to ask you for something important. Hit the like button right now, not for me, for yourself. Because when you like this video, the algorithm shows it to more men who are silently suffering the same way you are. You're not just helping this channel grow, you're sending out a signal that men's health matters, that dignity matters, that vitality after 60 is worth fighting for. And let me bless you for that. If you take a second to like this video, I pray you find new energy in the morning when you wake up. I hope your body feels lighter, your sleep deeper, and your confidence stronger each day. May the simple act of pressing like be the first small decision that sets you on a larger path of renewal. And may you feel encouraged knowing you are part of a community of men reclaiming their strength together. So here's my invitation. Subscribe so you never miss another doctor-backed truth about men's health after 60. And leave me a comment below. Type 1 if this resonates, type 0 if you're skeptical. I read every single one. Either way, your voice matters here. Now let's get straight into the heart of it. Because once you understand why this hidden muscle controls so much more than you think, you'll see that your future is not written in decline. It's written in strength waiting to be awakened. Gentlemen, let's pause here, not for science, not for muscles, but for what this truly means in your life. Because when a man in his 60s whispers to me that he can't stay hard anymore, he's not really talking about biology. He's talking about dignity. He's talking about the quiet, gnawing fear that he's no longer the man he used to be. I remember a 62-year-old teacher who sat across from me, twisting his wedding band as if it could hide his shame. "Doc," he said, "my wife pretends it doesn't matter, but I know she notices." That wasn't just frustration, it was heartbreak. Another man, 71, a retired truck driver, admitted he had started avoiding intimacy altogether. It's easier to roll over and fake being tired than to face the disappointment in her eyes. And then there was the 68-year-old widower who confessed, "I finally met someone new, but I'm terrified she'll discover the truth that I'm not the man I once was." These men weren't broken, but they felt broken, and that's the real wound here. Not just a softer erection or fading stamina, but the ripple effect. The avoidance, the excuses, the slow erosion of confidence that creeps into every part of life. When you stop reaching for your partner's hand, when you pull back from intimacy, when you stop seeing yourself as capable, it's not just your body that suffers, it's your spirit. And let me be honest with you, this is where most men give up. They accept decline as their destiny. But here's where I challenge you to think differently. What if the story doesn't have to end in silence and retreat? What if the truth is that your body isn't done, only undertrained? I want you to imagine this personally. Imagine not having to avoid intimacy, not making excuses, not fearing disappointment. Imagine standing taller, feeling that spark again, knowing that you are still fully alive. That's what this journey is really about. Gentlemen, let's talk about what almost no man dares to admit out loud. The symptoms begin quietly, so quietly you can almost convince yourself they are not there. Erections that once rose strong and proud now feel uncertain, softer, fading too soon. Stamina that used to carry you through moments of intimacy now slips away, leaving frustration where joy once lived. And then there's the bladder, the middle of the night urgency, the embarrassing leaks. The hesitation before you can even begin to urinate. At first, you shrug it off. This is just age, you tell yourself. This happens to every man. Maybe you even laugh it away with a friend or bury it under silence, pretending it doesn't matter. But deep down, it does matter. It matters because these small changes carry a heavy message, a creeping sense that your body no longer belongs fully to you. Here's the trap. Most men believe this decline is permanent. Written into their DNA like gray hair or wrinkles, they assume nothing can be done. That the only choice is to accept it or to chase temporary fixes. I've seen men rely on pills that give a flicker of performance but leave them feeling hollow. Others turn to injections or devices desperate for control, only to discover they are treating the symptom, not the cause. But here's the truth most men never hear. What feels like permanent decline is really just weakness. Not weakness of will, not weakness of masculinity, but weakness of muscles and blood vessels that have been neglected for decades. Just as a man who stops using his arms will find them thin and powerless, the hidden muscles that control erections and bladder function weaken when left untrained. Think of it this way. Imagine a garden hose left outside for years. Over time, the rubber stiffens, the water flow falters, and what was once strong becomes fragile. Now, imagine you pick up that hose, begin flushing it out, applying steady pressure, restoring flexibility. Slowly, the water flows freely again. That is your body. The plumbing is still there, it just needs attention. I've seen this firsthand. A 65-year-old engineer once told me, "Doc, I thought I was finished. My wife and I stopped trying years ago. I figured that chapter was closed." But within weeks of training, the very muscles he didn't even know existed, he returned with tears in his eyes. "I feel alive again," he said, not because he was suddenly 25, but because he discovered strength he thought was lost forever. The problem is not age. The problem is neglect. For years, you've trained every visible muscle, cared for your heart and lungs, maybe even followed your doctor's orders about diet and cholesterol. But no one has ever told you that the very muscles holding your erections and your bladder control steady could be trained too. No one explained that, like any other part of your body, they weaken when ignored. This is why so many men suffer in silence. They think the decline is inevitable, but it isn't. It's a wake-up call, and if you listen carefully, your body isn't saying you're finished. It's saying you've stopped using me, wake me up. So here's the hard truth wrapped in hope. The frustration you feel is not the end of the road. It's an invitation. An invitation to understand what's really happening inside your body and to take action before another year passes in silence. Because once you realize the problem isn't your age, but the hidden system you've neglected, you'll see the solution has been within you all along. Gentlemen, let's pull back the curtain on the mystery muscle I've been hinting at. Because if you don't understand what it is and what it does, you'll never believe how 3 minutes a day could change your life. Buried deep in your pelvis, hidden from sight and forgotten by almost every fitness magazine, lies a group of muscles you've used since childhood but never once trained on purpose. I'm talking about the pelvic floor muscles, and in particular, the two with names most men have never heard, the bulbocavernosus and the ischiocavernosus. Medical terms, yes, but their role couldn't be more straightforward. Here's what they do when you become aroused. These muscles contract like clamps, trapping blood inside your penis. That trapped blood is what makes your erection hard, full, and long-lasting. Think of them like the dam gates on a reservoir. When the gates hold, the water rises and stays high. When the gates weaken, the water leaks out. And when your pelvic floor muscles weaken, blood escapes too soon, leaving you with the very problem so many men whisper about, softer erections that fade before you're ready. The tragedy is that these muscles are anything but useless. You use them every single day. They fire when you urinate, when you cough, when you laugh, when you stand up from a chair. They are part of your body's foundation. Yet because no one ever tells men to strengthen them, they slowly wither from neglect. It's like owning a powerful engine you never bother to maintain. Eventually the performance sputters, not because the design is flawed, but because you let it rust. I'll never forget a patient of mine, a 69-year-old mechanic. He told me, "Doc, I've spent my whole life fixing engines, but I never knew I had one inside me that controlled this." He laughed, but there was pain behind it. Once he started training these hidden muscles, he came back weeks later and said, "That little engine is purring again." That's the power of awareness. When you finally understand the system, you can fix it. Let's put it in perspective. You would never stop training your arms or legs and expect them to stay strong. Neglect them and they wither. The pelvic floor is no different. Ignore it and erections weaken, bladder control slips, and your sense of confidence erodes. But train it even for a few minutes a day, and it responds like any other muscle, growing stronger, firmer, more reliable. And this is where so many men fall into despair, because they assume their body has forgotten how to perform, when in truth it's simply the muscles themselves that have lost their tone. They're not broken, they're not finished. They're just undertrained, and that is the best news you could ever hear, because undertrained muscles can be rebuilt at any age. Think about that. The solution isn't hiding in a pharmacy or a surgeon's office. It's been in your body all along. A muscle you've always used, never trained, quietly waiting to be called back into action. And once you do, the results don't just restore performance, they restore the part of yourself you thought was gone. Now that you know this hidden group exists, the next step is to prove to you that strengthening it actually works. Not in theory, not in wishful thinking, but in hard science measured by some of the most respected universities in the world. Gentlemen, I know what you may be thinking. "Doc, this all sounds interesting, but can a few hidden muscles really change something as serious as erections and stamina?" Skepticism is healthy. After all, you've been promised miracle pills, magic supplements, and flashy devices your whole life. Most of them left you disappointed, so let's set the record straight. What I'm talking about isn't hope marketing. It's science, documented, measured, and proven across decades of research. Let me take you back to 2005. A team of researchers in the United Kingdom studied a group of men who had struggled with erectile dysfunction for years. These weren't 20-somethings, they were older men who thought their bodies had closed the door on intimacy. The researchers gave them a structured program of pelvic floor training. Within 3 months, many of these men went from impotence to normal function. Their rigidity returned, their confidence returned, and their relationships began to heal. That was the first wake-up call to the medical world. The pelvic floor isn't just about urination, it is the silent engine of erections. Fast forward to 2014 at Oxford University. Scientists wanted to know whether slow, controlled contractions, the kind I'll soon teach you, could do more than restore firmness. What they found was remarkable. These exercises not only improved erection quality, but also gave men better control over ejaculation. Think about that. With a few minutes of intentional practice, men who had struggled with control for decades suddenly had a new level of command over their bodies. Then came 2015, when Italian researchers tested a variation I call the quick flicks, rapid contractions and releases of the pelvic floor. What they discovered is that these quick bursts sharpen responsiveness. Erections developed faster, hardness was easier to maintain, and stamina improved. The body, like any engine, responded not only to slow, heavy lifting but also to quick, precise sparks of power. Finally, in 2018, a team at Cairo University pushed this further with endurance holds, extended contractions designed to build stamina. Their findings: men who practiced these sustained holds reported longer-lasting erections, greater satisfaction, and a significant boost in overall performance. In other words, it wasn't just a temporary fix. It was training that rewired the body to function as it was always designed to. Taken together, these studies paint a clear picture. This isn't a trick, it isn't a placebo, it isn't some clever marketing hook to sell you a gadget. The results were measured in hospitals, written into peer-reviewed journals, and confirmed across different countries and cultures. Time and again, the data point to one truth: when you strengthen the pelvic floor, your erections improve, your control improves, and your stamina improves. And let me make this more personal. These weren't super athletes or rare exceptions. They were men like you, retired teachers, mechanics, accountants, grandfathers. Men who thought their bodies had betrayed them. Men who had quietly given up on intimacy. And yet, within weeks of consistent training, their bodies responded. Because the design of the male body is not broken, it's only been neglected. So when I tell you that 3 minutes a day can change your life, understand this. I'm not selling you hope. I'm reminding you of what the science has already proven. The question is no longer whether it works. The question is whether you're ready to put it into practice. And that brings us to the next step: the exact 3-minute routine that combines strength, speed, and stamina into one powerful daily ritual. Gentlemen, now that you've seen the science, let's turn knowledge into action. Because theory won't change your life, practice will. And the good news is this routine is not complicated, it doesn't require equipment, and it won't take more than 3 minutes out of your day. You can do it sitting at your desk, standing at the kitchen sink, or lying in bed before you drift off to sleep. No one will ever know you're doing it. Yet these 3 steps target the very muscles that decide whether your erection rises firm and stays that way or weakens before you're ready. Step 1. The slow hold. This is your foundation. Imagine you are trying to stop the flow of urine midstream. That's the muscle you want to engage. Once you find it, contract gently and hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Then release. Do this 10 times. Think of it like lifting a heavy weight at the gym: slow, deliberate, controlled. Each rep builds raw strength in your pelvic floor, the kind of strength that traps blood in your penis and keeps it there. Over time, these holds condition the muscle to stay firm under pressure, making your erections steadier and more reliable. Step 2. The quick flicks. Now speed matters. Instead of holding, contract and release the same muscle as fast as you can. Aim for 10 to 15 quick squeezes. These pulses teach your pelvic floor to respond instantly, just as it needs to in the real world when arousal begins. Erections aren't static, they require fast adjustments in blood flow and muscle control. The quick flicks sharpen that responsiveness, helping you get hard faster and stay hard when it counts. Step 3. The endurance hold. This is where stamina is built. Contract the muscle again, but this time hold for as long as you can: 10 seconds, 15, even 20 if possible. Then relax, rest, and repeat 2 or 3 times. These extended holds train your body to maintain steady blood flow and control for longer stretches of intimacy. It's the difference between a short burst of strength and lasting performance. Put together, these 3 steps: slow holds, quick flicks, and endurance holds, form a complete system. Strength, speed, stamina. In just 3 minutes a day, you're teaching your body to reclaim control over the very function most men think is gone forever. And here's the beauty of it. No one has to know you're doing them. You could be at the office, waiting in line, or brushing your teeth. This isn't about hours in the gym or risky procedures. It's about consistency. 3 minutes every day repeated until your body remembers what it was designed to do. The question most men ask me at this point is simple. Doctor, how soon will I notice a difference? And that, my friends, is exactly what we'll answer next. Gentlemen, let's get to the question every man has on his mind the moment he hears about this routine. Doctor, how soon will I notice a difference? It's an honest question. When you've lived with frustration for years, maybe even decades, you don't want vague promises. You want a timeline. You want to know when you'll feel your body respond. The encouraging news is that your body reacts faster than most men expect. Because these are not foreign chemicals or artificial devices, we're simply reawakening muscles and blood flow that have been waiting inside you all along. Weeks 2 to 3, subtle but real. In the first couple of weeks, the changes are often small but undeniable. Erections begin to feel a little firmer, less uncertain. You might notice a stronger sense of control when you urinate, less urgency, less hesitation. For many men, this is the first spark of hope. One of my patients, a 64-year-old retired teacher, told me, "It's not like I became a teenager again overnight, but something shifted. I felt stronger down there, and for the first time in years, I wasn't dreading intimacy." These small shifts are powerful. They are proof that your body is listening. Weeks 4 to 6, the turning point. By the 1-month mark, the improvements usually grow more obvious. Erections last longer, stamina improves, and intimacy begins to feel natural again instead of forced. Men who had avoided intimacy out of fear suddenly find themselves relaxed, knowing their body will rise to the occasion. Confidence, quiet, steady confidence, begins to return. A 70-year-old patient once said, "I didn't realize how much I missed just feeling capable. Not like a superhero, just like myself again." That is the turning point, when you stop measuring performance and start enjoying connection. Weeks 8 to 12, lasting strength. Stay consistent for 2 to 3 months and the results often become part of your new normal. Erections feel reliable, stamina returns, and bladder control improves significantly. Many men report fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, better sleep, and a sense of ease they haven't felt in years. By this point, it isn't about noticing change, it's about living it. One man in his 70s told me, "I stopped counting weeks. I just know my wife and I laugh more, and I don't feel old when I look in the mirror anymore." And let me be clear, these results don't come from magic. They don't come from wishful thinking. They come from the same principle that builds any muscle in your body: consistent training. The pelvic floor responds just like your arms or legs. Give it attention and it grows stronger. Neglect it and it withers. So if you start today, by the time a new season rolls around, you could be standing taller, sleeping deeper, and enjoying the kind of confidence you thought had slipped away for good. And as powerful as this timeline is, it sets the stage for something even greater. Because the benefits of this training don't stop at the bedroom. They ripple into your health, your vitality, your daily life. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Gentlemen, by now you understand this routine can restore stronger, longer-lasting erections. But let me tell you something most men don't realize. That's only the beginning. Because when you strengthen the pelvic floor, you're not just working on performance in the bedroom, you're unlocking benefits that ripple through every corner of your health. Let's start with bladder control. For many men over 60, this is the silent struggle. The urgent trips to the bathroom. The hesitation before the stream starts. The embarrassment of small leaks that make you feel older than you are. Most men never bring it up, even with their doctor, because it feels too humiliating. But the same muscles that trap blood in your penis also support your bladder like a sling. When those muscles regain strength, urgency decreases, leaks stop, and you regain control. Imagine sleeping through the night without waking 3 or 4 times. Imagine traveling without scouting out every restroom in advance. That's freedom most men don't realize they've lost until they get it back. Now let's talk about the prostate. With age, the prostate becomes the center of constant worry, and for good reason. Enlargement, difficulty urinating, pressure, it's enough to keep a man up at night. What pelvic floor training does is improve circulation and reduce strain in the area, supporting prostate function in a way that pills can't. It's not a cure for disease, but it can ease the burden, making urination smoother, less frustrating, and less worrisome. I've had patients tell me that once they committed to this training, the bathroom stopped feeling like a battleground. That alone can change your outlook on life. And then there's circulation, the lifeblood of vitality. Stronger pelvic muscles improve blood flow not only to your sexual organs, but throughout your lower body. Better circulation means more energy, quicker recovery after activity, and even improvements in joint comfort. One man in his late 60s, an avid golfer, told me, "Doc, I started this to fix my bedroom life. What surprised me was that I can play 18 holes without feeling drained anymore." That's what happens when your circulation wakes up. Finally, let's zoom out to the bigger picture, vitality itself. Training the pelvic floor is a reminder that your body is still capable of change, even decades after you thought the window had closed. That realization alone has power. It lifts your spirit, straightens your posture, and puts a spark back in your eyes. You're not just regaining function, you're reclaiming identity. Because here's the truth, men don't come to me just for harder erections. They come because they want to feel alive again. They want to laugh without worrying about leaks. They want to rest without constant interruptions from their bladder. They want to wake up with energy, walk with confidence, and know that they are still fully themselves. So yes, the headline is about erections, but the real reward is far bigger. It's about freedom, dignity, and strength returning to your everyday life. And once you've felt that kind of renewal, you'll understand why I tell every man this is not just about sex, it's about life itself. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Because beyond the science, beyond the health benefits, lies something even deeper. The emotional transformation that happens when a man finally takes back control. Gentlemen, we've walked a long road together in this conversation. We began by exposing the hidden problem that so many men suffer in silence, believing it's just the price of aging. We revealed the forgotten muscle group, the pelvic floor, that silently decides whether your erections rise firm or fade away. We looked at the science, not rumors or gimmicks, but decades of research proving that training these muscles restores strength, stamina, and control. I showed you a simple 3-minute fix, slow holds, quick flicks, and endurance holds that any man can do in total privacy, no equipment, no embarrassment. We talked about the timeline of results, the subtle changes in weeks 2 and 3, the turning point at week 6, and the lasting renewal by 3 months. We saw that the benefits go far beyond the bedroom: better bladder control, prostate support, stronger circulation, and a sense of vitality returning to your daily life. And finally, we touched on the deepest layer of all, the emotional recovery. The moment when a man realizes he is not broken, only undertrained. Here is the truth I want you to carry with you. It is never too late. I have watched men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s reclaim their bodies, their confidence, and their dignity. They did not settle for decline. They chose to act, and so can you. Now it's your turn. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button. That small click tells the world that men's health matters, that aging does not mean surrender. Subscribe so you never miss another science-backed truth designed to help you thrive after 60. Leave a comment below, type 1 if you're ready to begin, 0 if you're still skeptical. I read every word, and your honesty helps shape the future of this community. And if you know a friend, a brother, a father who needs to hear this, share it. You might just change his life. Remember, 3 minutes a day may sound small, but the man you become because of it is anything but small. Your best days are not behind you. They are waiting ahead, ready for you to claim them.